What's good? It's your girl, Kelly Queen T, aka You Can't See My Head. I got a new camera. I'm trying to make it work. This video, I'm gonna be crooked. Um, should I lay down? I really want y'all to see my sweater. Hold on. I really, nope, that's not it. This video is just not it. It's not the move. Okay. I'm trying to figure out how to angle myself on the new camera so you can see more of me. Okay. Anyway, on the Sisterhood Blackberry Corner, we was on chapter 7. I'm finna try to do this whole chapter. Should I scrunch myself down? I don't know. Bonnie woke to the scent of ham and homely drifting from the kitchen and a glass of freshly squeezed grapefruit juice on her nightstand table. She sat up in bed and smiled. This meant that Nas was in one of his cooking moods, and Bonnie loved being pampered by her husband. She slipped into her white terry cloth robe, took her glass, and headed toward the sound of the clanking pots and sizzling of cured meat. Nas was bent over the stove, coating a skillet with melted butter. Morning, baby, he said without looking up. Bonnie kissed the closest part of his body that she could reach, the top of his arm. Fresh squeezed grapefruit juice, she said, and on my night table, no less. Toast, grits, she went on as she peeked into the pans. Even got some ham in there. Bonnie set her glass on the counter. She took a coffee mug from the pantry and filled it at the stove. All this cooking going on. Must mean you about to duck out of going to church this morning. Just 'cause I'm making my sweetheart some breakfast. 'Cause you making your sweetheart some breakfast on Sunday. Mrs. Wilder, you cut me too quick, he said. That mean you going. No, he replied. Just means I'm assaulted. Nads put his arms around his wife. He placed a light kiss on her forehead, then pecked her lips. Bonnie enjoyed his playful spirit. She loved the firmness of his shoulders when she wrapped her arms around his neck. You don't mind if I stay home? He asked, moving back to the stove. You the one paces from the pit, Nas Wilder. And please tell me you ain't fixing to go fishing or some such. I plan to clean out the shed today. Maybe do some yard work. He poured the scrambled eggs into the hot skillet. And remember you asked me to hang you another clothesline out back? Yes, but why can't you do these things after church? You know I'm much better working in the AM, he said. I come home from sitting in church all morning, and the onlyest thing I'm fit to do is listen to the game. That is the truth, she admitted. Nas always appeared chair-like in the kitchen, like a boy with a task well over his head. A slapstick mood prevailed as he attempted to use the potato peeler, and when he tried to pull the hot bread right from the toaster, the sound of Bobby Drain on WQNB singing Splish Splash and the picture of Nash trying to pluck a piece of broken shell from the already set eggs made him look even funnier. The more awkward Nash looked, the more charming and loving Bonnie thought he was. Yet still, he hadn't approached her that way since the night that she had tried to heat things up, and Bonnie was much too shy to approach him. Maybe it was too late to try to change things after all these years, she thought. Maybe it was a mistake. Paper come, she asked. Nope. He slid the eggs onto 2 plates. That new boy ain't worth 2 dead flies. Either the paper get here late, get here soaping wet, or don't get here at all. He spooned stiff grits into both plates. Your red very cake looking mighty good, he said, gesturing towards the crystal covered platter on the counter. Olive Lockie's recipe. Bonnie took her seat at the table. She flipped through the short stack of mail the Nas had placed beside the napkin holder. I have to admit that a cup of beet juice do give a nice texture. Nas set the place on the table. Did you see I got me a card from old Dewey Bradshaw? Ain't had time to read it yet. Dewey Bradshaw? You remember Dewey, he said. Played for the Birmingham Black Barons. Little fella, picture too. Nas nodded. Dewey ain't big as a gat, he said, springing salt into his grits. But that boy pitched like he was born to it. Bonnie found the card. Go on and read it for me, Bonita. Nas said, you know my eyes is bad. It was his sight that made him shy away from reading his mail. The man could see as it wasn't his sight that made him shy away from reading his mail. The man could see as well as anyone. It was that he could barely read at all. For a proud man like Nas, it was easier to lay the blame on something beyond his control, like his eyesight. At church, he carried the Bible just like everybody else. And when asked to read the passages, he'll hold the book at an arm's length like the old folks. Once he even started clearing his throat like he was about to begin, but spent the next few minutes squinting. Reverend Duncan would admonish him about forgetting his reading glasses. Even he didn't know the truth. Many times, Bonnie had offered to teach her husband to read, but Nats contended that after 36 years, he didn't need to start learning now. Bonnie reread the first line in the sentence twice before she could make out the words. From the chicken scratch writing, she judged that Dewey Barshaw could read and write little better than Nas. Nathras, this is Dewey. How you been making out, old boy? I've been good. Don't play no more ball, but we getting to be old fellas now. Life is like that. Been a while since I seen you. Last I heard, you was getting married. Hope you're happy. Me, myself, I ain't never got married. But I keep company with a fine girl. Maybe one day she be crazy enough to jump the broom. That Dewey is a madman, Nas laughed. Crazy as a Bessie bud. Bonnie went on reading. Speaking of getting married, you remember my little brother Woody? He lived in Mississippi. He about to take the step, and I'm going down to be a witness. That I'll stop in the Three Sisters and say, hey, do we come in here? Nas asked. He left his phone number, Bonnie said. Say to call him if it's okay. Damn right it's okay. Do we good people? Nas lay another slice of ham onto his plate of the stove. Usually one team don't get together with another, you know? Sometimes there be bad blood, but Dewey was different. We hang out at night and be the best of friends. Then the next day, when it come time to play each other, Dewey turn to a warrior and don't get in the way of one of his fastballs. I seen him knock old Kill Smith, and he was bigger than me. Knock him clean out. Nas beamed as a thought. He said when he coming, Bonnie skimmed the letter. Say it won't be till spring. Sure don't want to miss Dewey whenever it be. I need to cancel my plans. Really? I'm trying to concentrate, and this is what you want to do? So you wait till right now. Wait. No, I'm doing something. You wait. Okay, well, she gonna have to wait too. Did you spare her? She said sarcastically. Nash reached across the table and took her hand. She on the phone now? If she on the phone now, bring the phone her. Okay, now where was I? Nash reached across the table and took her hand. You trying to tell me I've been away from you too much, Miss Bonita? Ain't said none of that can, she asked coldly. I'm serious, he went on. Three soft knocks sounded on the front screen door. They heard girlfriend how. If you think I've been gone too much, she said, I'll stay home more. Nash took his coffee mug and went to answer. Bonnie stacked the pots and frying pans. Fried egg was spilled on top of the stove, and ham grease was splattered everywhere. She wondered if she had been missing Nash more than usual. His friends and sports outings were important to his life, and most times she didn't mind. Lately, the emptiness she felt from being childless was only exaggerated by having to give up wine. She has to admit, though, that Ruby Pearl was a picture of joy. That woman decided that the only explanation that could withstand the congregation's scrutiny would be to say that wine was a relative. Ruby Pearl's nephew, to be exact. Bunny hated to lie to the Reverend and his wife, and Ruby Pearl wasn't pleased at the deception either. But Thor suggested it was the only decent way to explain Wine's sudden appearance in Ruby Pearl's life. Bonnie last called from the front yard. She dropped her hands on the dish towel, praying he hadn't gotten a hold of the paperboard. When she got to the door, Nash was circling the front yard with the morning news tucked under his arm. Got you a package, she said, peering up the road. Barney stepped outside and held the screen door open with one hand. There was no box of any kind. Then she heard a tiny meow. Girlfriend sniffed silently around her sewing basket, with Shappy sat one of the porch rockers in front of the door. Hold on. She released the screen door and bent to look inside. Two tiny sets of eyes stared at her. Dressed in pink terry cloth jumpers were twin girls no more than 2 months old. Aside from the slurpy murmurs of contentment, their limbs trashed so lustfully that the basket almost toppled. Patches of brown curly hair dotted their heads. Nash stood below the steps. I guess the word is out, he said. Bonnie could feel it catching her throat as she gingerly lifted one of the girls from the basket. A ball of blue yarn rolled into her place. Lisa, while the mama had the man take your knitting needles out, Nan said in front of the shop rods that now lay under under the rocker. Bonnie hugged the child close. She smelled like caramel, and her eyes looked wide and bewildered. This is crazy, Bonnie whispered. It just don't make no sense. Makes perfect sense to me, Nan said. The twin in the basket was quiet, so Bonnie placed her sister in Nan's reluctant arms, then lifted the child from the basket. Again came the lovely scent of caramel. It was clear that the babies had been well cared for. They were plump and appeared untroubled. Their clothes were new, their bodies shiny from oil, and their curly hair clean and tangle-free. Bonnie spotted a green hanky tucked in the side of the basket. Inside the tight knot, she found 73 cents. Bonnie could feel her heart breaking. And not so much for the children. They were safe, but for the mother who had surely summed all she had to leave her girls. She sat she sat beside Naz on the steps. Bonnie had to take a deep breath to process it all. She could scarcely believe that not one, but now three babies had actually come to her door. Naz stared at the girls as if they were two aliens, then shifted the child in his arms to hold her head in his palm. Where you learn to handle a child like that? Bonnie asked, quite impressed. All those fosters, he said, his voice absent of her same joy, were older ones had to pitch in. The girl in Nan's arm began to cry, and her sister immediately joined her. For Bonnie, the sound of babies, any babies, gurgling, whining or crying on Blackberry Corner was like a chorus of angels. We gotta tell somebody, Nan said. Bless them, Bonnie said, rocking the child. They come sometimes. I don't know what's going on here, but you know exactly what's going on, Nan insisted. She craned her neck to look at him. I pray for a child. That ain't no secret, she said. But a lot of folks ask for a lot of things. When this happened the first time, that was strange. I know it, and you know it. But twice, and now twins, he shifted the girls in his arm. Where these babies come from? I mean, we know all the girls in Canaan Creek, Nas went on, and they raise their own children. And that woman Pine been talking about, even she can't spit these children out that fast. Maybe God is trying to tell me I should be a mama. Excuse me, God? Nas yelled up to the sky. I'm Mr. Wilder, and I ain't about to keep no babies. So don't send no more. You stop your blasphemy. We need to call Pan. He set the wine baby back into the basket, and Bonnie did the same with the other twin. We should call him in the first place, and that would have been that. I can't. Bonnie lifted the heavy basket and followed Nance into the house. Sheriff's department is looking for any little thing, Nance said, and this ain't no little thing. I ain't calling Pan. So you think you just gonna find a home for these babies too, if I have to? Bonnie see the anger building in her husband. Who you know is ready to take one? Both, Bonnie said. Lord above, Nas called out. Can't part them, she insisted. Who in the world you know ready to take two babies, he said. Ruby Pearl was talking about, you gonna get two more children, Ruby Pearl? Nas asked. If you let me finish, she snapped. I was gonna say that Ruby Pearl's friend that lived in Hensel, she wanted a baby. What the hell do you know about Ruby Pearl's friend? He barked. What the hell do you know about any of this? Bonnie didn't answer. Nash shook his head in frustration. Never know to look at you. Never know how to look at you, he went on. What? So sweet and kind. Everybody love Bonnie. Hell, I love Bonnie. But folks never would know that you can be selfish as sin. Say what? Since day one, he said, holding up his fingers. Since the first day I met you, your daddy spoiled you rotten. Everything had to be Bonnie's way or no way. If everything was my way, Ryan would be sitting up on this couch alongside these girls. Nas paced the low carpet. When we got married, he argued, I wanted to move, wanted to leave the three sisters, go to a big city, Clarkston, Columbia even. I could have worked at one of them colleges or coaching at a ball club. Oh, please don't start this again, Nas Wilder. Hell, I didn't want to stay in this town, but Bonnie had to be here. This is my home, she said. This is your home. Don't mean we got to stay here forever. Neither one of us had no family left. Bonnie shook the baskets to calm the screaming children. We need to do something about this now, I said. I'm not calling parents, she insisted. He'll take these babies right to the country home, and no child needs to be there. You don't know what you doing here, Bonita. A baby needs a mama, she said. That's all I know. But who? I ain't thought that far yet. What about your church friends, now said. Them harvest ladies. They all got kids. Miss Ida got grands. I just mean that maybe we can open this thing up, now said. Maybe they know some folks wanting a child. I know some folks wanting a child, she argued. Me! Damn it, Body, you ain't hearing me. Both girls were screaming. Maybe they was hungry. Or maybe it was because of the tension between her and Naz. Bonnie looked up at her husband. Fire burned in his eyes. I hear what you're saying, she said calmly. I understand that you think we need to tell somebody. Good. But we tell the ladies, Bonnie insisted. Folks like Tilly Monroe be on my ass. On my ass, she repeated. This ain't about you, Bonnie. She felt a stab in her heart. A stab that brought the point home. Perhaps it was her own selfishness. If she had brought the ladies of Blessed Harvest in, she wouldn't have had as much time or access to the children. Of course, Tilly would want to take over everything. Look, she said to Naz, maybe I'll visit with Ruby Pearl's friend, Bonnie. If she takes the children, fine, she said desperately. If not, then I'll call the ladies. I promise. Naz reluctantly agreed. The baby's reluctant screams filled the house, and Naz took refuge in the shed. She knew that this was the last thing her husband wanted in his life right now. But this was all Bonnie ever wanted. Suddenly her days were so full. Of course there would be no church this morning. Her time was once again consumed with bottles, feeding, clothing, and cuddling, twice over. In a few days, she would visit with Ruby Pearl's friend up in Hensel. Bonnie prayed that the woman would accept two babies, and more, that she would be even half as lovely as Ruby Pearl. But how would Bonnie know for sure? She pushed those thoughts away from her now, knowing that, just like everything else, her heart would guide her through. Okay, that was really good. Let me see. Okay, you know what? We can go ahead and mark this. Bonnie sat behind the driver's seat of the car, looking at the address that Ruby Pearl had written on a slip of notebook paper. From the driveway, she and Thora appeared at the small white house, its porch strewn with holes and rakes and rows of empty clay pots stacked on top of each other. This it? Thora asked. It says 1550 Jeremy Trail, Bonnie answered. She had Thora to come along and was surprised that her friend hadn't fought her about it. Thora wasn't one for being in the company of children, but she seemed to like the idea of helping find a home for them. Thora claimed that visiting prospective parents was like going to their house and telling them that they had hit the number. Bonnie knew it was more, but she didn't embarrass Thora by insisting that she had a heart. Bonnie rapped lightly with a wooden knocker, save for the banging of piano keys coming from inside. The house seemed peaceful enough. A water hose lay unraveled on the side of the house, next to a flower bed with a row of dug up holes. Next to the front door was a planter, shaped like a tuba, crawling with ivy. Just remember, Bonnie, Thora said, looking at herself in the compact mirror, we ain't just gonna ask on the obvious things, like how long they been married and such. We gotta keep our eyes open for the small stuff. Like, like if they look happy. Like, if she look like she want to go upside his head. Don't want to have them girls around folks that fight all the time. Anything else? Bonnie said sarcastically. Don't get all snippy. Thora pressed her compact clothes. Somebody got to handle the business end of this thing. Not everybody heart's supposed to be hanging out their chest, Thora knocked impatiently. They do know we coming, right? Yes, honey. Ruby Pearl wrote them 2 weeks ago. And we should probably ask about things that ain't so obvious, Thora went on. We should know if they ever stole something. Or what grade their mama went to in school. And if they ever been in jail. You know, stuff like that. If they had been in jail, Bonnie chuckled. The door swung open. A tall, lanky man stood inside. His bushy black mustache looked to be glued on the top of his lip, and his thin hairline inched back in the middle of his head. Y'all the baby people, he shouted. Thor looked at Bonnie and smiled. Yes, sir, Bonnie answered. I expect two such pretty ladies, he said as loud. Lady, he called. That damn voice shouted back. Yes, ma'am. Baby ladies here, baby. He laughed at his own play on words. Letty hurried to the door. She was as tall as her husband. In fact, Bonnie took note of how much the couple resembled each other. Letty put her hands on her cheeks like she had just encountered two movie stars. First, she embraced Thurber. Don't know which one of you was Bonnie, she said, but y'all both getting a big old hug. Now everybody get a hug. Gracious me, Thora mumbled into the woman's chest. Bonnie introduced herself and Thora Dean, even as the woman hugged. Letty Bowen was what the old folks in church would call a handsome woman. Tall, strapping, and black as a northern soul. Her salt and pepper hair framed her face in a soft puff. She talked loud, gushed big, the moss across the wood floor like a small elephant. The piano player Bonnie had heard turned out to be a young girl trying to play Blue Moon from some sheet music in front of her. Tandy, Lily yelled, "Ma'am, go on home, darling. Your company come, Miss Letty?" The young girl asked. "That's right, and tell my dear it's $3 come Friday." "Yes, ma'am," the girl answered. She shut the piano top and hurried out, looking curiously at Bonnie and Thor until she had closed the front door behind her. Letty led Bonnie and Thor through her house, which was steaming with sunlight and overrun with more junk than Bonnie had ever seen in one place. Chairs of all kinds, and none of them matching, were stacked on top of each other and pushed into the corners of a small sitting room. Bonnie could see patches of threadbare oriental rug for most of it was covered by old cardboard boxes loaded with clothes. Rims of fabric and balls of yarn were strewn here and there, along with chaos of old sewing machines. Paper pockets stuffed with clothes patterns were piled on top of an old piano bench. But most prevalent in all of the junk were triumphs, trombones, clarinets, and all kinds of metals and wooden flutes, which sat in boxes against the wall. Freddie tuned instruments, Letty explained when she saw Bonnie and Thor staring. "When?" Freddie put in. "Say what?" Thor said. "Just wind instruments," he explained. "Couldn't tune a string if somebody held a gun to my head. And I teach piano to kids," Letty went on. "And I mean all damn day," Freddie laughed. "Wash your mouth, baby." "Oh, y'all just be yourselves," Thor invited. "Okay, I can make it." Bonnie could tell that Thor liked it here, but Bonnie couldn't help but wonder about the safety of small children in such a cluttered environment. The place looked like a death trap. Then, to aside from the music, the bulletins were as loud as sin. Bonnie suddenly remembered that Ruby Pearl had called the couple fun. That Letty, Ruby Pearl had said she loved to laugh. Her and Freddie both. Letty and Freddie. Name sounded like a good chuckle. Bonnie and Thor sat on a bench checkered sofa that hadn't a hint of connection to either the brown paisley or the red striped armchair. And a coffee table heaped with old newspapers had just enough space cleared for a couple of bowls. One had potato chips and pretzels, the other had rich crackers, cheese whiz mounted on them. Y'all have some refreshments, Freddie? Freddie said, taking a handful of chips and piling them into a paper napkin. Letty dashed him a threatening look. She quickly lost it when she turned to Bonnie. "Tell us about the baby," she said. Rupert ain't say much in her letter. She just say they was twin girls. Well, Bonnie started. Ain't ain't that just something else? Freddie interrupted. Crumbs clung to the hairs of his mustache. "Y'all got babies pouring down from the heavens like rain." "That sounds so pretty," Honey Bear Lady said to her husband. "Could be one of your poems. Freddie write poems, you know." "Do tell," Thor said. Freddie set his napkin on the coffee table. He leaned his long, limp body forward in the chair. Love come like buds in the spring," he started. "Go on, baby," Letty said proudly. She happy. She thirsty. "Go, baby. Tell him that poem. Tell him all about it, baby." "Love come like a church bell ring," he went on. Thora nodded her head approvingly. "Love come like a gentle smile," he went on. "Love come, let it stay a while." Lady clapped for her husband, who beamed appreciatively. Thora also applauded. Of course, Bonnie felt obliged to join in. "Take a tender minute to say them kind words," Lady said, pecking her husband on the cheek. "That's how I know my baby I make a good daddy, 'cause it's tender." "Excuse me, Miss Bonnie," Freddie said, "but go on and tell us about the girls." "Well," Bonnie said, "the twins look to be about 2 months, and they seem as happy and healthy as they can be." "Y'all had a doctor to look at them," Lady said. Bonnie peered at her hands folded in her lap. "No." "Why?" Lady said. "'Cause we want to keep this as quiet as possible," Thora explained. "If we brought in a doctor, then chances are the law will get involved. The kids would wind up in the county home, and we would be sitting here with you good folks." "I see," Lady said, satisfied with the reason. "And y'all don't have no idea where these girls come from. Not even a clue," Thora said. She looked at Freddie when she said, "They just come like rain pouring down from heaven." "See how my stuff catch on?" Freddie hollered. "I need to make me a song out of that." "So what y'all need to know about us?" Lady asked. "Y'all seem nice to me," Thora said. And you seem nice to me, Freddie flirted. And with all due respect, Bonnie started this home. It's lovely, but well, babies need order. Might be a little dangerous for a toddler walking around all your collectibles. Now that's sweet, lady said. I like the way you said that, cause the fact is, Freddie loves himself some junk. The man keep hold to everything. Still got the first pair of shoes he ever owned. She ain't lying, Freddie confirmed. But there's a lot of money in junk. I got $300 from an old lamp my mama gave me when I was a boy 7. Shut up, Thor said in shock. If I'm lying, I'm flying, he said. But, Letty cut in, if we knew we was gonna get these babies, we'd throw half this stuff away. Be worth it for a baby child. Freddie confirmed. The couple seemed nice enough. If a bit of if a bit on the lecture side. When Bonnie couldn't think of much to say, she turned to Thor, who was obviously smitten. You have any questions? Bonnie asked her best friend. Thor pondered for a minute. She folded her hands in her lap as she thought. Y'all ever been to jail? Thor, Bonnie scolded. Never, Freddie said impatiently. Just once for me, Lady answered. Bonnie and Thor's heads were thrown at the same time. Ain't nothing bad, the lady said. I mean, Ruby Porter could tell you. Just that when I was young and my daddy ran a still out back. After he died, I kept it going. Till I was in my 20s. Made her a nice piece of change and a good damn sour mash, too, Freddie said. Get out of town, Thor said. Let it still make us a batch ever so often, Freddie added. For a fact, we got some down in the basement. You want to taste? Maybe this ain't the time, baby, lady said. Perfect time for me, Thor said. None for me, Bonnie put in. And none for Thor either. Bonnie's words didn't seem to matter because Freddie dashed down into what looked like the basement. As I was saying, lady went on, the law found me and closed me down. Then they took me for 2 days. Into the jailhouse, Bonnie asked. She had never known anyone who gone to jail, even for a day. And especially not a woman. Oh, come on, Bonnie, Thor said. Ain't no worse than what Naz make out there in your shed. Bonnie was mortified. Will you hush up, she scolded. Ain't nothing wrong with making a little something, lady said, especially for yourself. Did I hear that you grew grapes? Freddie asked as he clambered back up the stairs, carrying 3 shot glasses and what looked like mayonnaise. A mayonnaise jar filled with clear liquor. Blackberry, Thora replied. Thora, Bonnie gasped. Will you relax yourself, Bonnie? Thora said. I hear you, pretty girl. Freddie filled the small glass with clear liquid. Look, lady said, sensing Bonnie's uneasiness. Me and Freddie, Lord knows we ain't perfect, but we good folk. Honest folks. I always wanted a child, but I can't have none. Might be me, Fred. Might be me, baby. Freddie said, putting his arms around his wife's shoulder. Whosoever it is, don't matter, Lily concealed. Point is, we just don't work that way. And when Ruby Pearl sent us a letter and told us about you, she threw up her hand and shook her head. I know our prayers have been answered. Her smile narrowed a bit, but this is us, Bonnie, she said. Letty and Freddie. Ain't about to pretend to be nothing we ain't. Amen, Thor said, taking a sip of sour mash. She gasped at the bit of strength. Bonnie turned to Freddie. Can I ask you one more question, sir? Anything. You don't mind raising another man's child? Thor rose her eyes. Freddie swirled the liquor in his shot glass. A child is a child, he replied. And when it comes down to it, all these babies, only got one father. Bonnie hadn't been sure what to search in for the Bontons or anyone else. But what did good parents look like? More importantly, what did bad parents look like? Letty and Freddie certainly weren't perfect, but Bonnie Hart told her they were a loving and honest couple. Y'all want to pick these girls up tomorrow? She asked. We got them, Lily squealed. Far as I'm concerned, Bonnie said. Amen, Thor called. We'll be there, Freddie shouted. Be there tomorrow, come hell or high water. Bonnie had a good feeling about her decision. And of course, the Bontons were thrilled. Good folks are bad. Good parents are bad. Letty and Freddie seemed happy and their house was filled with life. Appellant slightly disheaved. Bonnie and Thor made their way to the door, once again stepping past old sewing machines and instrument parts. Bonnie waved at the couple as she and Thor let themselves out. She didn't want to disturb their celebration, for Letty was playing the piano and singing Blue Moon off key, while Freddie sat tapping his foot and playing a cello. Okay, that was pretty good. I would tell y'all, threaten y'all, but leave a comment down below. I hope I don't got threaten y'all. Leave a comment down below. But if I do, leave a comment down below, or I'm gonna cut my head off. You hear me? Okay? And you won't want that.